Hello, my name is Paige Glumser. I'm a junior at Bloomsburg University, and today I will be giving a presentation on China's population problem and the effects that its population crisis has on its government and economy. So just to preface this presentation, China's current population is sitting at 1.41 billion. So the main concern with this population crisis is the rapidly aging population in China. Because China is a manufacturing, labor-focused, middle-income economy with such a small social safety net, they are headed for crisis with this rapidly aging population. And by 2035, it is estimated that over 1/3 of China's population will be over the age of 60, which can lead to negative repercussions to the country's infrastructure and ability to care for its elders. So some of the causes of this population crisis and just history surrounding this population crisis, after World War II, the population increased from 540 million to 969 million. This boom in population meant that there was a limited supply of resources, but a growing rate of consumption. In 1980, there was a one-child policy instituted by President Deng Xiaoping. This one-child policy lasted for about 35 years. And then in 2016, there was a two-child policy instituted, followed by a three-child policy in 2021. China's strict control over birth control and its fertility rate was successful. There was a steady decrease in the country's fertility rate and an increase in life expectancy. Life expectancy rose from 57 in 1970 to 78 in 2020. There has been rapid economic growth, and because of that, young people have held off on having children. In this growing economy, there is high living and education costs, long work hours for those with jobs, and those without jobs, there's very little opportunities to get a job and to support a family in this growing economy. The unemployment rate was at 16.7% for those between the ages of 16 and 24, and women who got pregnant stood to suffer the most without having a job in this economy. The effects of this population crisis in China. Economic growth in 2020 was only 3%. COVID and the real estate market had a great impact on this economic growth or lack of. Economic growth is threatened by low fertility rates and aging workforce. The low fertility rates and aging workforce have the potential to further harm the economy and the government is going to have issues giving out pensions to this growing aging population. And because of China's low-cost labor, they may slow down due to the shrinking workforce. Efforts to prevent crisis in China. So crisis can be avoided if the government makes changes. If it does not, then China will still continue down this road of economic crisis. There has been an improved population development strategy in place in President Xi Jinping's National Congress speech. He vowed to improve the population development strategy by establishing a system to increase birth rates and bring down the cost of living for things like pregnancy, childbirth, child rearing, and schooling. Government programs have also been instituted to ease the burden of having a family in this economy. There are even cash incentives offered to families that have a third child. Demographic factors are not the only issues affecting China's economy, so while this population crisis is a big factor, there are still other things affecting China's economy. The rise of technology has affected the country's overall productivity. There are highly skilled and talented individuals who have just graduated from college with degrees who can't find a job because technology has already filled that gap for their job. Global effects. So China is the world's third largest economy, and because of that, the population crisis happening in China will have effects on the rest of the world. China's population is shrinking while the rest of the world's population is growing. So the shrinking labor force in China will cause higher prices and lead to greater inflation in places like the United States and the European Union. The world's population growth creates challenges to getting rid of global hunger and poverty and climate change. So while China's population is shrinking, it is not the only country that is facing a declining population. There's a projection that 61 countries and territories will face a 1% population decrease between 2022 and 2050. The U.S. has been spared from this population decrease due to immigration. So China is not alone in this population crisis. They are just facing it on a much larger scale than other countries. And here are my sources for this presentation. Thank you.